one done and dusted inside ball, Kevie. We've finally got to the end of round one. Seriously.
Feels like a month, but we got there. Some good football though, Dobbo.
Got good football, but we've got a lot to talk about in the Monday wrap of inside ball. And I can tell you, I've got to start by saying your weekend to me was like the travelling Wilburys. Now, can I just start? We'll get to why. You covered, obviously, Thursday, Friday night for Fox.
I panelled on Fox, yeah.
Yeah, good. I have got issue with your dress, but that's another day for another chat. Right. Mate, whoever's dressing you, seriously, you're not a grandpa. Oh, you are a grandpa, but dress him a little bit more modern, for God's sake.
I'll take that to the Fox wardrobe.
Yeah, the pinstripe grey suit, I've got to be honest with you. I mean, my grandpa Neil, may rest in peace, one of the great, but he owned a suit like that, and he'd be about 100. It could be. I know things are tough in the media. But, mate, the Broncos fly home on a charter.
Yep.
The Dolphins fly home on a charter. Gordon Tallis flies home on a charter, his own private jet to get him back. Kevin Walters drives an X-Trail through New South Wales hinterland to get back to Queensland.
Hinterland it was, but I'll tell you how it all worked out. I was on the Dolphins charter.
Yeah.
Trying to get home Friday night after their game.
God, I wish I was on that flight and that you actually got on that flight.
It didn't eventuate because of the airspace and the noise, so they shut that one down. So they said, come back the next morning. So and thanks to the Dolphins, Terry Reader and his gang for allowing me to. So we arrive at the airport, meant to be a 7 o'clock departure.
Sure.
They postpone it because flight restrictions.
Their reasoning was that there wasn't enough traffic controllers around available for the airspace in Queensland. That's what the government had said. Because
Terry was disappointed that they didn't leave at 6 a.m, which is the earliest you can get out of Sydney. So 7 o'clock departure. We get there. I'm just about to get on, and then they say, no, come back in 5 hours, and we'll reassess the situation. Not you can fly home in 5 hours. Come back in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very impatient, and I like to get home because Cyclone Alfred was about
Alfie was looming.
He was looming, about to explode, you know. So genius me, went and hired a car.
Smart move.
From Hertz.
Smart.
Yeah, and drove home. 11 hours it said on the clock from start to finish. But I didn't want to drive up the inland, drive along the coast because a lot of roads were cut.
Sure.
Particularly around Byron Bay and that. So
Pacific Highway was a mess. And our thoughts are to everybody on the Gold Coast Northern Rivers because they've been hammered. But there was a track, an inland road.
It was track is the right word, Dobbo. It wasn't a road; it was a track. And I thought I was lost. I started to panic a bit, and you couldn't ring anyone because there was no service. Well, I tried to ring my wife and.
Well, this is when I knew that you were in trouble because I actually spoke to Narelle about this, and I'm like, "Where's Kevin?" She's like, "He's on the road," and I'm like, "Yeah, but he's at Scone and there's no mobile coverage."
I didn't even get to Scone. Is it Walker?
Walker, great town.
Urula?
Uralla.
I got to give a rap to this place. I pulled in there just after lunch and I had the best country steak sandwich you've ever.
Roadhouse.
You know the one.
Yeah, the best. I know the
beetroot, onion, barbecue, and actually a sandwich, bread toasted. It was beautiful.
Mate, I just want to know, and we're going to get to the footy, but seriously, it's a very easy road. You go from Singleton to Scone to Murrundi to Willow Tree to Tamworth to Armidale to Guyra to Tenterfield, Warwick.
Deep water in that? Is deep water in that?
You drive through deep water, yeah.
Tenterfield.
Yeah, the
certainly.
Saddler. Yeah,
but even Tenterfield to what's the next town?
Stanthorpe?
No, I went back through the bush again.
Mate, I don't know who
Kangaroos and wallabies and emus running across in front of me. Dear, oh dear.
The GPS, and you wonder why your wife was upset with you. I was seriously.
You got home
what time did you get home? 7 o'clock Saturday night?
Just after 7, yeah.
Okay. Guess what time the Dolphins got back? 7 o'clock that night as well. And they had a much more pleasant. They were at the hotel.
Yeah, they went and did some recovery. Yeah. They did their review.
You could have gone in there, mate. You could have picked up the coaching hat. You never know. Opportunity lost.
There was no certainty though. No. So I like to.
Yeah, you like to. Okay, let's talk footy.
Yep.
Thursday night, it was pretty convincing, wasn't it? Insideball.com.au. You can go there and catch up with anything. Broncos 50, Roosters 14. Does it say more about the Bronx or the Roosters' troubles that are ahead of them? Because I thought Brisbane, they ticked every box that you wanted them to tick.
Yep.
But from the coach's perspective, what did you like about it?
Oh, I like their performance. Obviously, that's pretty convincing when you get 50 on any team. That's always good. 9 tries. You know, a lot of their work. Reynolds and Hunt heavily involved in.
Yep.
Reece Walsh was a little bit quiet, but that's okay. Didn't need to be. Cobbo 3 tries. You know, so they were very good. But the Roosters, they've got some problems there. The Roosters. I know they lost some players before the game, and then what's his name went down. You know,
I mean Victor Radley went out with HIA.
Yeah, after 10 minutes. But from the get go, you could see the intensity from Payne Haas and his forwards.
Yeah,
they smashed Lindsay Collins from the kickoff. Lost the ball. Straight away, you could feel the Broncos were, it's been a long off-season, and I expected that reaction from them because they've been heavily criticised for 3 months about what they're doing. They're rock stars, they're all this, they're all that. They're good rugby league players. That's what they are, and they showed that on Thursday. They sent a message to the competition that we're here.
You think there's a message in it? Like
100% there's a message, Dobbo.
Well, the Roosters aren't going that well. I mean, you talk about the forwards. We've got to talk. Pakesy played well.
Yep.
Hetherington played well.
Yep.
The 2 middles, other middles in Haas and Carrigan.
Gojeski picked up a try. Good support. He defended well,
Yeah, so that forward pack, I mean, you couldn't expect going to Canberra they're going to make changes. That forward pack stays as it is.
Yeah, but this will be a different contest for them this week against the Raiders because the Raiders have got a good forward pack, although they're missing Joe
Tarpanay. He's out. If you're the coach and you're right, they did everything right. You expected them to win like that. But is the story more about where the Roosters are at?
I think that's a big one as well. Broncos were great, and rightly so. We'll give them credit. But the Roosters were pretty poor. And I think if you speak to the Broncos players and their staff, they would agree that wasn't the strongest Roosters. That's probably the weakest Roosters team that I've seen in a long time.
Mate. Look, you take Radley gone from the game, but
and he'll be out for a period too because he's had several HIA. So,
but you got no Swali, you had no Joey Manu, no Kiri, no Sam Walker, no Satili Tupanua, May playing for the West Tigers. I'm still no Jared. Then Butcher was out because he was a late withdrawal. Matt Butcher and Egan. You then lost Radley. I'm just like, and Brandon Smith's not playing. There's 9 players out of the 13 starting that normally are in that Roosters. So you've got to look at what the hell is going on there. I mean, to me, that's the real worry.
It is, and it should be a worry for Trent Robinson as well because Walker and Smith will be out for some. I don't even know if they'll get back this year.
I don't think they'll play this year. I don't. Well, this is the question. If you're contending, if you're in the bottom 4 or you no chance of making the 8, do you bring your Ferraris back for 3 or 4 games? Like, do you risk Walker or give him a whole year?
We'll know more about that down the track. But they're in some strife. And they've got Penrith. They're playing Penrith this week.
Yeah.
So that's going to be tough for the... And they haven't... This is new ground for the Roosters. They haven't... Well, they had a rebuild back in...
14, they had a rebuild. They won a comp in 13. 14, they were a debacle. They made a prelim in 15, and then we know what went on after that, 17, 18. Or,
they got Cronk in. They got...
they got some, and they changed direction. But 14, they had to. Brisbane, I find it hard to talk about Brisbane in this sense because Brisbane did what they should do, and that against that side. So we can't really judge on other than their players got in a mood. You've seen that when they get in a mood, they can put points on, and they did that. And you're right,
Brisbane are going to be in the top 4, Dobbo. At the end, when it's all run and won, they'll be there thereabouts. I see that there's 4 teams at the moment.
See, I think there's 5.
Well, Canberra's on the edge of it all. Yeah, but
give me your 4 teams.
Well, Penrith, Brisbane, the Storm, and Manly. They're the 4 standouts over the opening. I'm going to say 2 weeks, but it's round 1.
Right.
They're the 4 that everyone's chasing now, right? They've been identified after round 1, and this may change next week, but now you see those 4 teams, they were pretty impressive.
Okay, so we've seen those 4 teams, Broncos 50, Roosters 14. The Roosters are the bigger talking point of the Bronx. Yeah. We'll know a bit more, and on Thursday's Inside Ball preview, when we look at when they take on Canberra on Saturday night, we'll really drill down on what we think the Broncos are going to be. I did like some of the subtle changes. I thought Gemma Chibisaki played very well.
Yeah.
And I know it's Thursday, so we're a little bit behind. There's been a lot of narrative about it, but they've got through injury-free. This week is important for them because of the weather. They contemplated potentially going to Canberra early to train on dry tracks. They've now, my understanding is, have gone against that. They're going to train here in Brisbane this week. Is that the right decision, considering that, like away from their families, is what's going on in Brisbane?
Yeah, no, Red Hill where they train, that's no problems with the weather.
Yeah,
with the rain,
drainage. Yeah.
It's got great drainage, so they can train there. I'm more concerned for the Dolphins and their training. They got a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And I'd be concerned with them because that field at Redcliffe can have some trouble.
It's a swamp. They got beaten by South 16-14.
Should have won that game, the Dolphins.
Should have won it.
They had it. They lost it in that second half. They just dropped off and made some errors when they didn't need them. They were disappointed. Speaking to their staff and players, post-game, they were bitterly disappointed to lose because they felt they had their opportunities, to get in the game and get in front and then hang on, but just didn't eventuate that way. They'll be better for the run.
Nicarima. That's a huge loss, mate. He's the creative. I mean, no disrespect to Sean O'Sullivan, but he just the combination between Katoa and O'Sullivan, to me, looked like they hadn't done a pre-season together. And that's the truth, because Nicarima and Katoa have been
training there.
Training in the halves, and that just looked like a last-minute reshuffle. It just looked clunky. And the fact is, Junior Tupou should have scored 2 tries. Jai Arrow, great tackle, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Did a massive
He's entitled to score there, though, wouldn't he?
You would think so. You would think so. But that's a Jack Bostock wing. Jack Bostock scores those tries every day.
Yeah, but Dobbo, he's not there. He might be there for...
Yeah, I know.
What are you hearing? How long is he out for?
Another 3 to 4 weeks, they're saying. So, I mean, you would hope that the Dolphins get on the winning circle. I mean, the fact that they got home Saturday night at 7 and then Wednesday they travelled to Newcastle for a Thursday night game against the Knights, no one envisaged, but it's made their draw a lot tougher.
Oh, it has, just the simple turnaround and all the flying.
They got the West Tigers at home the following week, then the Broncos. So, I mean, there is a little bit of reprieve for them. But what did you like out of the Dolphins' performance? I know they got beaten. What did you like from there?
Yeah, well, obviously the defence was quite good.
Yeah.
Just conceding, 16 points. Thought their attack was a little bit clunky at different times. They probably should have attacked more to their left-hand side when O'Sullivan went to centre. But they, for whatever reason, because of the new halves combination, they didn't identify that. I certainly think Herbie could get more involved in the game. Again,
he was quiet by his own standards.
And Hammer.
Yeah.
Hammer at the back, we didn't see a lot of him. He needs to get more involved in the game because those 2 players alone can change the game just in one tackle.
Yeah.
With their speed, with their footwork, and just with their ability to score tries. They're try scorers.
It was a quiet game for Hammer and a quiet one for Herbie. The positive for me, and you know this all too well, was the Tom Gilbert getting through again after, he's had a wretched run, 2023 Origin, and when he did that knee, he hasn't been seen since.
No.
And he did a shoulder, then he did a knee. So for him to get through, and then as their captain, and I don't know if I like the Max Plath on the edge. I mean that genuinely.
Yeah.
But
there's a spot for Plathy
in that side.
Whether it's on an edge.
Why can't you play him 14?
Well,
bring him on after 20 minutes and he plays 60 minutes for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's just his work rate though. He just gets through a lot of work for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Particularly on the edge defensively, in and around the middle. So that's probably why he's there. But there are options to shuffle the board a little bit and bring in a genuine edge player, and then Max could go to 14, but. That's something that the coaches have to make their decisions on. But there was a lot to like about the Dolphins, considering their preparation was a bit difficult to maintain. But positive signs there. I think they're in for a good season, the Dolphins. Yeah, they can make the 8 certainly, but they've got to get it right.
I mean, we'll see what
their
happens.
Their big players need to play well.
Well, they do,
and their big players. I mean, Herbie, Hammer. Those sort of guys really need to come into and when Nicarima comes back in, he'll settle the back line.
Well, he should be back this week. Yep. Wolfie will play them. Just quickly, Lockie Hubner, who played for South Sydney, Rockhampton boy, loved that. I love what he did. South Sydney, they got Ewan Aiken back in a couple of weeks. Latrell will be back in 4. They got Alex Johnson in 2. they're going to be okay. People who wrote them off, Uncle Wayne, they just played. There was 30 minutes of play in that first half out of the 40 ball in play. That's unheard of. Yeah. That is unheard of. So both sides, it was a high-quality game. I think both sides are between 10 and 6. I think they're going to fight for that bottom half of the 8. That's me.
I'd agree with that. Both teams showed some good signs. South have got their injury troubles with as we've spoken about the big two. Depends how quickly they can get them back, into the team. Yeah. What about the little fullback, Jai Gray? He's another
mate. Southport. He went to Southport School.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of Fuller from play above their weight.
Fuller from the Dolphins.
Yeah, just
well above his weight. Yeah,
he was very good, very very good. We like the Dolphins. Okay, Saturday night at 4 Pines. Manly, 42, Cowboys 12. And I tell you, I was disappointed. I really was. The Cowboys, to me, you've had a whole pre-season. You've made some big changes. You've shifted players. And you toss up that as a first-up performance. That was a worry, Kev.
Yeah, well, that's a worry. They'd be extremely disappointed, the Cowboys, with particularly their first 15 minutes of the game. They gave away too many penalties. They dropped the ball. They just allowed Manly. And if you allow Manly to come into your space, and DCE and Turbo will make you pay for it, which they did. They scored inside 3 minutes from a play to the right, and then the floodgates opened. At one stage, it got to 42-0, Dobbo.
Yeah.
Now, the Cowboys were shocked, but they had no possession, and it was their own fault, and Coach said that after the game, that they've got...
I didn't like that. I didn't like what the coach said. And people have shouted at me in the last couple of days. His first comment was he asked the players to have a look at themselves and their preparation, whether or not they were mentally and physically prepared. I'm sorry. You are the coach. That's your job to get them right.
Well, it's the player's job to get them.
But hang on. Well, what's the coach's job then?
Well, he can only...
Do you set a game plan?
Yeah, of course he does. He would have done all of that.
Well, the game plan didn't work. So
but you don't set a game plan to drop the ball and give penalties early.
I've seen you after losses, and you've blamed yourself first to protect the players. Straight up. It's never the players. It's always the coach first. That's where you shield that's just been the way it goes. Yeah. I've got to be honest with you. To me, I don't know what's going on there, because I look at what their roster is. You chose Drinky over Hammer. Okay. One of them had to go.
Yep.
You let Val go. Felty retired. Fini Fuiaki, you let him go.
Yeah.
Right? You've got real issues at the moment. Jason wasn't there, and he's been on big money, and he will come back into that side. He's injured, so
he'll make a difference.
But Chad was their halfback. They let him go. I don't necessarily know. Reece Robson's going at the end of the year. So what are you doing? Where are you investing, and where are your big-name players coming from with the Cowboys?
Yeah, well, they've invested in their youth, haven't they, up there?
Well, then...
And Tom Dearden, to be fair...
Yeah, very good footballer.
He's a good footballer.
Very good footballer. He's an Origin footballer. But, okay, he doesn't make up the whole cap.
No. Cohen Hess came back in. I thought he played strong for them. He was good with his carries. But, they got
beaten 42 points to 12. They are underdone. They were
their trial form, that's a good example. Their trial form against the Storm the week before was really good. And Duffy, the new young halfback that's come in.
I liked him.
Yeah.
I thought he had a better game.
Yeah, his kicking game was good. His defence was solid. Threw one ball over the sideline, but that's, he was trying to, put his team in a good attacking position. So, but, mate, it's hard as a halfback to play behind a beaten forward pack, particularly when you're 19 or 20 years of age. I
just look at the players that they've let go over the last 12 to 18 months. Both Dolphins edges, Connolly Lemuelu and Fini Fuiaki, both of them. Throw in another one, Gilbert. That's 3. Now, Gilbert wanted to come home. That's 3 who were all Cowboys. Hammer, that's another one. Yeah. I'm just saying, let's not sugarcoat the Cowboys.
No, but
it's
hard to keep them all, though, and you can do your roster is your most important strategy. And if you get it wrong,
they had Virus up there doing it. He's no longer there anymore, and it's interesting. They brought John Bateman in. You bring John Bateman in for Fini Fuiaki.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't part of their plans.
Yeah, but
he popped up late. So,
I mean, you've got Cotter. You're losing Robson. I just don't think everything's rosy up there.
One of their back rowers, the young, he did his ACL, so he's out for the season.
I get it. Okay. I'm not making any excuses, but to me,
they'll be better this week. Well, they'll be better.
Well, they've got the Sharkies.
Yeah, well, that's
and
okay.
I tell you what, the Sharkies, and it's up there, and it's on Saturday, so they're playing their first home game. You would hope. And that's a really important game.
I'm going to tip them to bounce back, but we'll talk more about that on Thursday.
Titans had the bye. All right, that's the Queensland wrap. Let's talk about this one. Melbourne 56, Eels 18. Jason Rolls' first game as an NRL coach, and boy, oh boy, it was ugly. This was the ugliest game of football of the whole weekend. We talked about Roosters 50-14. Yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, it was like boys against men, wasn't it? I watched that game.
Oh.
And if you're Jason Rolls and the Eels coach, if you don't, it's the worst draw possible. Round 1, the Storm in Melbourne at Amy Park.
I get the 23 years.
23 years, Dobbo.
I get it.
So that could have been the Broncos rolling out there. Could have been Penrith rolling out. Could have been Manly. Not a similar result on the margins, but Melbourne, they just win, mate. Round 1.
Yeah, but as a coach, talk to me. You want a performance. I understand the history. So you're going up against it. They were the shortest price team out of the whole round.
Yeah, up to $8, I think.
Yeah, but mate, 56-18 isn't a good performance. Like, you can get beaten and be happy as a coach. Craig Fitzgibbon lost opportunities against Penrith. Cam, as a Cronulla coach, they're like, okay, we've got something to build on here.
Right.
Eels?
No. Well, they said the second half. They won the second half, but Melbourne.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. I'm just telling you. The press
44.
But Jason owned the performance. Jason Rolls, the Eels coach.
What else
owned
has he
it.
got? Yeah.
Well, they got massive change. They've had massive changes.
Yeah. But your man Dylan Brown, you're $13 million over 10 years.
Yeah, he was nowhere to be found. No.
What?
Well, that 13's just been halved or quartered.
Yeah, it has. If I am, the worst thing that could have happened for Dylan Brown was that round. Like the Dylan Brown.
Yeah, well, that was he was meant to lead the charge.
Yeah,
and you can lose and still be proud of your efforts.
Yeah. How long do you keep debutants? I mean, over the course of that, you've got debutants making their debut. Yeah. How long do you keep it as a coach? How long do you keep a debutant?
Well, again, it depends on the result and how they play, really, as an individual and also around the team environment. But normally a month, if you're looking at a guy, unless he's coming in for someone who's injured, obviously that guy comes back in and he's out. But if young guy on debut, say like Duffy, Tom Duffy, the Cowboys, at least a month, right, for him to see how he handles the NRL. How he handles different situations, away games, home games. Yeah. All these things come into it. So it's a case-by-case situation. Some guys you give a little bit longer, some guys a little bit less. If you're a middle forward off the bench, well, you've got to come on and have an impact. If you can't do that, well, you need to be replaced. Those sort of things. So it depends on lots of things. But those halves, if you're in that position, you need to be given at least a month to show your wares.
Well, Volkman and Brown aren't working for...
No, but they'll be there next week.
Yeah, because Mitchell's... It could be 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, Volkman could be there for 6 weeks. I don't think they've got too many other options in that position at Para, which Rolsey is aware of. They've had massive changes, Dobbo, to be fair to them. And to draw the Storm in round 1, it couldn't get any worse for them. Who are they playing next week?
I get that, but what my issue is that... My issue is with them, the performance. They can get beaten and be happy with the effort. That was garbage.
Yeah.
That was garbage. It was 33 degrees. Munster, Pap. I mean,
what about Munster? Let's talk about a positive. What about him? Do you see what he's done off field?
Yeah.
He's off the grog. Challenged by his wife.
To give it up.
And she said, you can't do that.
And so he did it.
And he said, yes, I can.
Do you think that's the right thing for him?
What do you reckon, Dobbo?
One of the best. Well, one of the best on ground.
But we saw it from him. He was in everything, mate. He looks fit. He looks happy.
Yeah.
And when he's in that mindset.
Can I ask about Pap's dying of the hair? I mean, he's got the mullet, but the black roots are starting to come through, the peroxide. I said to my wife, is that real? And she's like, have a look at the roots coming through. Right? Now, I don't know what that means, but then he's dyeing his mullet. I don't like. I mean, I love the Pap.
I love it,
but I'm not happy with the hair.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
You are?
I'm just a bit envious that he's got hair like that.
Hence why I wear the hat.
Yeah, but it is strange for him because Bellamy's very, Craig Bellamy, with the standards and the tightness of the Storm. I'm surprised
I wonder where he lands. That's the big thing.
Chris Walker arrived at Brisbane training one day, Broncos. Listen, Wayne was there.
Yeah.
With dyed hair, blonde.
What happened?
Wayne said, get back in your car and don't come back to training. Do not come back to the Broncos, to this field, until your hair is not that colour. Can't be here with that.
Yeah, well, things are a little different. Things are a bit different.
He rinsed it out and came back the next day.
He's looking good at the moment, Chris Walker.
But there's been some great, like, remember Joey when they won the premiership? He died at red,
didn't he? Yeah.
Joey.
Yeah, well, he's an immortal. Inside Ball podcast, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just going through the other results, and we know Knights 10, Tigers 8, Dogs 28, Dragons 20.
Let's go back to the Knights game. Knights and Tigers.
Go.
Tigers, 4 or 5 guys in the club, new signings. I thought they only just got over the pass mark, to be honest. I know they're missing.
I'm with you.
Missing a couple there.
They had
Happy Coruscant was
and
out.
no Buller, Jeremy Buller.
Buller, right. But they were entitled to win that game, and they came close. Only lost by the 2 points. And
missed 50 tackles in the second half.
Yeah, well, you can't do that, can you?
Mate, they got Jerome Luai to that club, paying $1.3 million to win the tight games.
Yeah,
that was a tight game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like, I know it's early. But
geez, you're on your high horse today, Dobbo.
No, I'm just saying.
Is Cyclone Alfred got a hold of you?
Well, I've got a green pool and an unhappy wife.
It sounds like you have, because you're being a bit hard.
Sorry.
You're being a bit hard. The Knights got home on the back of 2 things Kalen Ponga did. On last tackle, the Tigers were attacking the line. They put a little kick in.
Yeah.
Ponga, out of nowhere, gets the ball back into the field of play twice.
Yeah.
Saved the Knights, and they got the late try, to win it. So that's a pass mark for the Tigers. Dogs, Dragons, I watched that yesterday. Well, listen to it, rather.
Yeah.
Coming back on my fantastic journey back from Sydney. The Dogs, they're a good side, aren't they? Good, solid team.
They were disappointing, the Dragons, and they honestly were. I thought,
too many handling errors again.
Yeah. Dogs have got the Titans at Belmore this week on Sunday night. That's going to be a good.
Now, I'm a bit worried about the Titans with their preparation, and we might talk more about this on Thursday. Is there
their park's underwater as well?
Is it underwater?
Yeah, it's underwater.
So what's the plans,
They're training at other facilities, but if I know Des will have them right. The biggest issue, I'm going to get to the biggest issue, Kevie. I want this opinion. Adam O'Brien upset that the cameras keep on focusing on him in the box when he is losing his mind. Now, every single coach now knows that the cameras are on them. Can I ask from your perspective, did that bother you? Because there's so much attention now on the coaches.
Yeah, and there always has been for the last couple of years since cameras focused on.
Because you've got a bellyache wall punch, you've got a Ricky Stewart chair kick.
Ricky and Craig have two.
Wayne gives nothing. He just
Wayne falls asleep. He fell asleep in the 2015 grand final.
Stop it.
He didn't fall asleep, but he's just so relaxed. And I've been fortunate enough to be in both coaches' boxes, Wayne's and Craig's, and it's totally different.
Parallels.
They're just great coaches, right? And they do things in their own ways, special.
Who's got the biggest blow up in the NRL? Because I reckon Adam O'Brien's gone to the very lead. I honestly, he threatens the microphone when he's talking to the microphone, when he's starting to threaten it. Whoever's copping the message in there, that's what you've got to be able to siphon.
Yeah, well, Craig's the best of all time, isn't he? Hasn't he got? They've got a series out now, haven't they? About the Storm.
It's coming out.
And Craig's obviously the centerpiece of it all because he's a great coach, but his performances, like the way he coaches, is really intense.
Yeah. So there is a blow up. So I think we should do, and this is without notice, if you had to rank the top 5 coach blow ups, right? No, I'm going to give Bellyache 1.
1.
Right?
Ricky's got to go in.
Ricky's 2. Michael Maguire after Tiger Town. We know that. That's 3.
That's 3.
He's got form there. I would say then Adam O'Brien, a very number 4, right?
Yep.
Now, this is, I mean this, just by sheer facial expressions and the way he goes off, I'm going to give Todd Payton number 5 because, he looks like somebody who is very unhappy all the time.
Well, it's not very pleasant when you get beaten in your opening round and you travel to Manly and you get beaten 42-12. That's hard to take as a coach. He would be bitterly disappointed, Dobbo. And then you've got to go do a press conference 15 minutes after the game.
Well, that's the deal, mate. That's why you guys are all paid millions of dollars as coaches.
Oh, hello.
That's the deal.
No.
Okay, moving on. Team of the week.
Well, I've got the 4 there. I can't split.
You can't split those 4 teams.
No.
Penrith.
Penrith, I love the way I thought Penrith were going to maybe drop down a little bit this year, but in the first 10 minutes that we watched over in Vegas, they weren't that great.
So your teams of the week are the 4 teams: Manly, Penrith,
Brisbane,
and Melbourne.
Not in any order there. They're all impressive in different ways, but they're the 4 that everyone's chasing.
Flop of the week.
Flop of the week. The Eels. They were horrible down there.
Yeah. For me, it's the Roosters.
And the Roosters.
Yeah, I think they're equal billing there. I think they're the Smoky. Who's the team that you thought surprised a lot of people?
I think Canberra certainly surprised a lot.
Yeah.
With the way they went in Vegas, they've had a week's off. We'll find out about the Raiders this week when they take on the Broncos in Canberra. We'll find out a lot more about them.
Player of the round.
I'm going to go Patrick Carrigan.
You thought he was that good? Yeah, he was man of the match. He was very good. That's a very good pick.
200 and something metres. Yeah. Typical Carrigan stuff. No frills.
Well, it's not typical because he never took the first carry. He took more first carries than I've ever seen.
I'll let you say that. That's okay.
No, I'm being honest. Playing 13, he never took the first carry.
No,
because
it's not his job, mate, to do that.
But he did it, and he stepped up, and he was unbelievable.
And Payne-Haas. That combination was really good. Special.
Surprise. It's the Broncos. Surprise.
Well, you tell me your best.
Oh, I thought the Pap was unbelievable yesterday. I thought Pappenhausen was...
You bagged his hair before, now you're all over
that doesn't mean he's a player. Hey, it's not about me. This is your podcast.
No, the Storm were good too. They were always going to be good though. Storm, the hangover of the premiership, or not winning the premiership. Yeah. Come on.
We are back Thursday, and we have a special guest with us on Thursday. I'm not going to announce it yet, but let me say we're going to have guests throughout for the year. This one is quite special. No, I'm not telling you. You know exactly who it is.
Give me a hint.
Inside Ball, he plays rugby league. Insideball.podcast on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Insideball.com.au. We'll see you on Thursday.